No one expected this decision to come so suddenly. What exactly did Jungkook say that made Taehyung so angry? And why is Jimin, who has not returned from the military, the trigger for everything? Is this the end of BTS as we know it? No one prepared themselves to hear this. No one thought that a single sentence from Jungkook could bring down the pillar that had always looked the most solid. No one expected that Taehyung, a figure with a calm but soulful smile, would be the first to publicly say his intention to leave BTS. But here's the harsh reality that is now circulating amid the army's unrest, a quarrel that is so deep, which comes from the one name they miss so much, Park Jimin. What exactly happened? Is this a misunderstanding between friends? Or is there an old wound that has been neatly closed and finally opened due to one sentence that is too honest, too painful, and too imprinted? It all started in silence. In a seemingly quiet time, all BTS members were waiting for Jimin's return from military service. But behind the scenes, tensions have grown like embers in a chaff. There is no official statement. No live broadcast explains. But the whisper began to sound. Whispers about disharmony. About the distance that begins to form, tears that the camera never sees, until finally, in a moment that wasn't broadcast live, a private conversation between Jungkook and Taehyung, something happened that broke the silence. Something that even made the wall of trust that they had built for more than a decade crack with a very loud noise. Are you really sure Jimin will come back and not change? That's what Jungkook said, according to an unnamed source, in the conversation that is now at the center of all this chaos. That sentence sounds familiar. But for Taehyung, it was more than just a doubt. That's an accusation. It was distrust. It was a betrayal of the bond of the three of them who had gone through so many storms. Taehyung froze. But not for not knowing what to say. He froze in anger. Because of disappointment. Because he couldn't believe that his own best friend, the one who cried with him backstage, the one who laughed with him when they copied each other's speech style, could say such a thing, and a few days later, the statement appeared. Not in video form, not in a live broadcast, but in the form of a handwritten message that Taehyung personally sent to the internal staff, which was then leaked by accident. If this is how you feel, if even now Jungkook doubts our friendship, then I'm not sure what to hold on to anymore. I want out of BTS. I need time to remember who I was before all this became a wound. Is this really the final decision? Does this mean BTS will lose one of their most beloved members? More surprisingly, the internal staff admitted that the statement did not only come from momentary emotions. They noticed a change in Taehyung's behavior over the past few weeks. He began to withdraw from team meetings, rarely replied to group messages, and even refused a special recording session planned as a welcome for Jimin. And in the midst of all this, Jimin still did not know anything. He is still living his days in the military, probably looking forward to the happy moment in which he will return to the arms of his brothers. He did not know that his absence was actually a small fire that has now turned into a blaze. Did I ask this his fault? Will Jimin blame himself after learning that his departure actually created a chasm among the people he considered his family? And what about Jungkook? After hearing that his one sentence could destroy what he had been so desperately guarding, he reportedly disappeared from the public for several days. Internal sources say that she even refused to attend a photo shoot that had been scheduled in advance. He didn't cry, but his gaze was blank. I just want us to be honest, he told one of the staff when asked about what happened. I'm just scared after he comes back. We're not us anymore. But is the fear worth the wound that is now gaping? Is honesty worth paying with splits? The army is now divided. Some defended Jungkook, calling him only honest because he felt lost and afraid. Others were angry at Taehyung, finding his decision to quit BTS too impulsive. And some more just shut up, because it hurts to choose. It's too hard to tell who's right and who's wrong. They just want to know one thing. Is this really the end of BTS? That question hangs in the air. No one can answer. Not Big Hit. Not the members. Not even Jimin himself, who is now far away in a place that is not possible to extinguish this fire directly. But one thing is certain. This is not just an ordinary quarrel. It is a rupture born of the deepest wounds, of the fear of loss, of a love so great that silence cannot contain it. And while the world waits for official clarification, one other question tickles the hearts of many ARMY around the world. Does BTS look solid from the outside? Do we only see their smiles, but never really realize how heavy a burden they are carrying? Because in the end, maybe no one really knows. No one expected it. No one believed. Until Taehyung said those words. Words that are even sharper than farewell. I want to leave BTS. And with that, everything changed. Forever. That night, the rehearsal room in the HYB building was empty. Dim lights leave a faint shadow on the walls, and the sound of a quietly buzzing air conditioner becomes the only companion in silence. Taehyung sits on the floor, his back against a large mirror that reflects his weary figure. He looked at the phone screen that showed Jungkook's last message, which was not returned. Don't you dare reread it. Hyung, I don't want to lose anyone, but I'm also afraid we've been pretending for too long. The sentence hit like a storm in Taehyung's chest. He wasn't angry because Jungkook was honest. He was angry because Jungkook said it as if Jimin was not part of them. It was as if they had lost Jimin when he hadn't come home. As if the love they give isn't enough to make anyone want to come back. You don't know how I waited for him to come back, Taehyung muttered, barely audible. Flashbacks began to ring in his head. Their time at the start of the tour. When Jungkook was a teenager, he didn't talk much. When Jimin is the glue that always makes them laugh, even though they only eat cold ramen together in the corner of the dormitory. When Taehyung promised in his heart that no matter how difficult the world will be, the three of them will take care of each other. But reality is not as beautiful as the vows of youth. The next day, Taehyung does not appear at an important meeting with the production team. No reason. No message. Just silence. Jungkook is present, but he didn't talk. Just sitting in a corner chair, wearing a dark hoodie and looking at the empty space opposite, the place Taehyung was supposed to occupy. He's not coming, the manager said quietly. And he said he wouldn't be here to prepare Jimin's welcome content. Silence. Jungkook bit his lip. His head is down. Then, without a word, he got up and left before the meeting was over. No one's after him, because they know it's not about schedules. It's not about work. It's about a family that is falling apart, and no one can fix it but themselves. Elsewhere, Taehyung's letter begins to spread secretly among the staff. Some people cried after reading it. It's not anger, not a statement of revenge. It's a wound, which is too deep to be patched by the word sorry. I don't blame Jungkook. I just feel abandoned when I'm still holding on. I know I'm not a leader, but I want to fight for something that hasn't even been restarted. Our old friendship. But if even that's questionable, what am I holding on to? The letter made many people question one big thing. What really happened during Jimin's time in the military? Was the void too quiet for just the two of you to walk through? Is Jimin the heart that they have been ignoring because they are too used to existing? Ironically, not long after Taehyung's letter went viral, word came that Jimin would be on temporary leave near the end of his military service. But is that good news, or will it aggravate an already open wound? The news of Jimin's potential return became the center of attention. But for Taehyung, it's not a solution. It was the scariest moment. Because how could he possibly pretend that everything was fine if Jungkook himself no longer believed that Jimin would remain them? Meanwhile, the ARMY began flooding social media with speculation, hope, and fear. The hashtag #StayTogetherBTS is trending around the world. Thousands of messages of support for Taehyung and Jungkook flooded the internet. But even more wrote one sad sentence: please don't end everything like this. Some fans even shared old video footage of Taehyung, Jungkook, and Jimin's interactions. Small moments that once seemed trivial now turn into treasures that make the heart pinch. Video of Taehyung and Jimin laughing as Jungkook's prank fails. Footage of Jimin hugging Taehyung from behind the stage. The moment Jungkook cried and hugged Jimin while being caressed by Taehyung. It's all felt now like the last memory, but do they feel that way too? Or is there a spark of hope that can bring it all back together? Jimin's birthday is coming up, and he walked toward the door of the HYB building with a tired but smiling face. It does not know. Don't know yet. But as soon as he entered the break room where they used to gather, he found that there was only one person there. Jungkook. Sit on the floor.
Get down.
Where's Tae? Jimin asked. His cheerful voice sounded a little cracked when he saw Jungkook's expression. In the dugout, there were only two figures. Jungkook, who looked down in guilt, and Jimin, who stood stiff as if struck by lightning. Ever since he stepped out of the military gates, he knew the world had changed. But he never expected that his two best friends turned into strangers who barely spoke to each other. He walked slowly closer, then sat down beside Jungkook. There were no words, only silence that hung like a thin mist. But the fog did not protect. It's suffocating. What do you mean you destroyed us? Jimin asked slowly. Jungkook bit his lip, staring at the floor. Her tears she couldn't hold anymore. His voice broke, almost like a child confessing a big mistake. I told him, that's possible. We've been pretending too much since you left. I'm just afraid we've lost our way. But I never meant to make him feel alone. But he misunderstood Hyung. And now he wants out of BTS. Jimin was suddenly silent, like someone who has just been dropped from a very high place and cannot breathe when touching the ground. He shook his head slowly, hoping that what he had just heard was just a tired hallucination, not the reality that hit him right in the chest. Get out, he whispered. Taehyung say that? Jungkook nodded, and that's when, for the first time since leaving the military, Jimin burst into tears. It's not a cry of relief to meet friends again. Not crying longing, because finally able to gather. Tears of loss. Panic crying. The cry of someone who is aware that the house he left behind may already be on fire. Why aren't you waiting for me? Why did you guys break this before I got home? Jimin shouted. Her cry broke like a crystal glass falling from the table. Jungkook was shocked. He wanted to hug her, but not brave. Because he knows a hug is not enough today. Not for all wounds that are already gaping. And in a different place, a small cafe on the outskirts of Seoul, Taehyung sits alone by the window. He was wearing a mask and hoodie. Do not want to recognize anyone. In his hand, there was one old photo. Himself, Jungkook, and Jimin, laughing in the concert lounge. He watched those faces, their smiles, hugged their shoulders, and he asked in his heart, is it all just a coincidence? Or actually, are we destined to separate? The phone vibrated, the message of the number he memorized without even looking at the screen. I'm back. Please listen to me before you go. From Jimin. Taehyung's tears fell, but he didn't reply, didn't know what to say, because his heart was already shivering. It's not just the disappointment with Jungkook, but disappointed in himself, because still hope. What's the point of hoping if what you're fighting for isn't even sure you can survive, he muttered, but the world doesn't just let them get away with it. The next morning, HYB announced that there would be a special live broadcast of Welcome Jimin that would be attended by BTS active members. ARMY immediately thundered. But the rumors spread fast. Taehyung has not yet announced his presence. Jungkook is reportedly undergoing mental health treatment. Jimin insist on performing anyway. Will this be a moment of confrontation? Or a confession that will solve all? Day H. Cameras on. A simple stage is prepared. There are only 2 seats, not 3. Jungkook came first. His face was pale. His eyes are still puffy. He looked down as fans greeted him via live chat comments. He tried to smile, but it was obvious. His heart had not yet recovered. Then, Jimin is coming, he waved. Sit next to Jungkook. They didn't talk right away, just staring at each other. There was a huge roar in the hearts of the audience. Second by second, like a thorn, finally, Jimin opened his voice. I think I'm going back home. But apparently, the house is not the same. But I also realized a home doesn't have to be perfect. Home just needs honesty. Jungkook turned to him. The tears reappeared. Hyung, please don't blame yourself. I'm young. I was too scared. I said things I shouldn't have said. And that's when the surprise happened. The room doors open. All fell silent. A silhouette of a person appeared behind the light from the hallway. The ARMY held its breath. Jimin nodded. Jungkook stood up, and the camera captured the face. Her eyes were puffy, but full of determination. Taehyung, he stepped in, without a word, without a smile. He sat in the third seat that had just been added secretly by the crew, and for the first time in months, the three of them sat in one frame. But what does this mean? Jimin looked at him. Jungkook looked at him.